We are live. Playmaker's first after work on Twitter.
Amazing. I am very excited.
Me too. Historic event.
Definitely. I mean, we've had this idea for some time, really, to have afterworks on Friday afternoons. A bit casual, maybe grabbing a beer, talking about analytics, and of course, also perhaps most of the time, at least, with the base in our new platform.
Yes.
And should we present ourselves?
Yeah, maybe should start present ourselves.
So
that sounds good.
Let me start by introducing you. I think it's more fun that way.
Okay.
This is Jesper Haglöf. He is. I'm not sure what your job title is, but I would say that you're probably head of analytics right now at PlaymakerAI. Probably one of the best football data analysts out there in the world, and you've been working this summer with probably the best team in Sweden right now, Häcken, with their data scouting expert, or adding data scouting expertise to their team, you could say, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to have you with us.
Thank you for the nice presentation. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to work at Playmaker as well. And I'm here with the founder of PlaymakerAI, my idol before, or still, and my colleague now since 2 years back, and works with Seymour, Fotbollskanalen. I guess you are also, you're lead developer, lead scientist at Playmaker, and we're gonna do a nice show here.
Hope so.
We hope so, because we have a new product that's fairly newly released. I guess since, I don't know, maybe beginning of September or something, it's like free to purchase for anyone. But it's still happening a lot to the product, and it's happened.
Yeah.
We had some sneak peek trials for already customers that we had at Playmaker during the summer, and now we're just pushing it out to everyone interested, really. Perhaps even hobby analysts in the future. So stay tuned.
Definitely. I think we will add that possibility as well. If you're in any way interested in accessing a platform, reach out to us. So then we can probably solve a login in some way.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the idea behind the new platform is that you can do really advanced data analytics without having to code, without knowing how to code. I think that's been a great or a big hurdle for many who are interested in doing data analysis in football. That you have to be able to code, and that is a hurdle. I respect that, and I also think that shouldn't be, because I think that's two very different skill sets in essence, to be good at coding and to be good at analyzing data, especially within football. I mean, knowledge of the game and knowledge of data and how that reflects how the players perform and the teams perform. It's more important than knowing how to code. I guess that's more of my background before I started working in football. That has made me being able to like code. I did some calculations with a friend of mine who also works as a systems developer, how many hours we've had before or at the computers over the course of our lifetimes, and I think we came up with a number. We came up with a number 60,000 hours.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Probably been in front of a computer for every day for the last 30 years. I'm not over exaggerating.
No, I believe you. And I'm not even 30 years old. So that's a bit of difference in experience. But I have something similar, but maybe half of that.
But I mean, I think that we both have had really great fun in making the new platform what it is today.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that if we're in any ways to like divide what our special competences are when it comes to this platform so far, maybe I've been more working on the front end development and like the architecture of the platform, while you have been making all the nice models that we use right now, like the new expected goals model and expected threat model, of course, and the really good new ability to estimate the players' positions.
Yeah.
And also the avatars. The avatars aren't live yet, but it will be really soon. The possibility to not only classify players based on like where they've played position-wise, but also what type of player it is in role-wise, so to speak.
Exactly. And you might have seen the avatars before on our scouting webpage, where you could order scouting reports, or on Twitter from what we've shared. So yeah, they will come to our platform probably next week. So yeah, very soon.
Yeah.
So should we demo the website?
Yeah, let's do that. Let me add my screen here to this stage. This is the new platform. And I would say that the idea of the new platform is that it's supposed to be a product where you can build your own dashboards. So you can present the data in the way that you want. I think that's been one of the more central questions that we had that we've faced over the years, that every club that we work with, or every organization that we work with, want to have data presented in a way that suits their needs, so to speak. And I would say that the solution to that has become this new platform, where you basically can tailor everything from bottom up when it comes to what data you want to show and how you want to show it. So I'd say that it consists of two parts. It's a data set part and it's a dashboard part, where the data set basically gives you the answer to the questions what and when. So what do you want to show? What do you want to analyze? And when is like over time, over what time do you want to show the data? So I can dig into that. And the other part is the dashboard, which is more of the question, or answering the question, how do we want to visualize the data? So what and when data sets, and then how is the dashboard view?
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So when we create, so what we basically do with the first step, if you want to create something entirely new, is that you would want to create a new data set. And the data set is then a matter of then telling you or configuring what do you want to analyze. And the first question that you want to answer then is, of course, what do I want to analyze? Do I want to analyze players, or do I want to analyze teams? That would be the first question here so far. Yeah, right now maybe I want to analyze players, and then also if we just want to answer the question when, then I would actually go down to the advanced options. But here I can choose a date interval. So this can be several years. Actually, can be 3 years, but it could also be like the last month, or even the last 5 games. So if I would want to analyze a player's last played 5 games, or for the team's last 5 games at least, then you would select 5 here, for instance.
Yeah.
But let's not do that, but let's just select the season. So what do I want to analyze? I want to analyze, let's say, something specific you are interested in. I noticed that we have some questions on Twitter about some league. Maybe I could prepare that.
Yeah,
so
I think we had some question about Danilo Al-Sad in Eliteserien. Maybe that could be something.
Let's do Eliteserien, and then you would do 2023. It's this season. So that's like the basic configuration if we're talking about what and when. This Eliteserien, this actual season, its players. And another question that you want to answer about what it is you want to analyze is about what do you want to have the data presented in an aggregated way. And when we're talking about aggregation here, we basically look into these massive amount of KPIs that we can aggregate the data for. And what that basically says is that we do very much KPIs, which is aggregated per 90. So what that would say is that we aggregate data and we summarize it per 90 on these KPIs. So for instance, if I were to select a few KPIs here in the aggregated data set, then we will have it aggregated per 90 minutes played. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And filter on number of games. This is like one of these settings that I'd say that every data analyst is really interested in. You would want to remove players that have played a less amount of time than something, because doing a few substitutions when it's like 10 minutes left of games probably often produce quite skewed data. If you have played 30 minutes for an whole season but managed to score 1 goal, you would have an very high, like goals per 90 minutes, probably higher than like Haaland or Benzema and so on. So it's always interesting to raise that number a bit. So let's do that. Let's take like at least 5 games played, and then that would be 5 times 90, so that's 450 minutes played. And the positions that we mentioned, that was what you built quite recently. Maybe you can expand on that, because I'm not.
Yeah, of course. So the position that we have is it's a model that estimates the position. So since we're estimating the positions not from the paper that the coaches sends in from the game, we estimate the position from where they have played during the game. So that's a model that looks at the player's action and in which areas of the pitch the players has operated defensively and offensively, and then we estimate the position based on that. And it's a trained model that is very accurate compared to the actual position. It's has a very high percentage rate. So, and also the strength in doing that is that you are not tricked by a coach that sends in a list that is like tactically different. You can also get the exact position for every game and look at the differences between different games. So it's very good when analyzing a big cluster of data and comparing players.
Great. So let's select like I guess in this case maybe we want to if we're just going to look at like and compare Al-Sayed with different other players in the league, maybe we should select only the most offensive positions, like these 3 or something. Then we would get only players playing mostly attacking football, I guess.
Yeah, and offensive wingers, that would be wingers that plays as an inner forward in a 4-3-3, but it can also be a winger that plays 4-4-2, but not a fullback. And this attacking midfielder is your typical number 10 or a more offensive number 8.
I guess Al-Sayed will be probably predicted as a forward or an offensive winger.
Yeah.
So maybe we could remove that one then. Yeah. And then, it's just a matter of selecting what KPIs you want to show. I wouldn't select everyone because that's quite slow, and I don't think that that's the way you should use this as well. I think you should select the KPIs that you are most interested in, because like selecting 20 KPIs is probably just going to crowd everything. So let's just select a few KPIs that are really interesting for offensive players. Some of the ones I like. Let me know, shout out, Jesper, if you think I missed someone that you like. But key passes is favorite of mine. I like carry prog distance, which basically is how much progression you make with the ball per 90 minutes played.
Yeah.
Maybe we also want like aerials 1 per game, maybe possession adjusted as well.
Yeah.
To see some aerial strength.
maybe box entries, like either entries into the box or just carries into the box, since he's so EIB 90 is like all box entries.
Entries, that's good. Of course, non-penalty goals per 90 and non-penalty XG per 90.
Yeah.
And I also, of course, like the expected threat per 90, and maybe my favorite of everything, that's the XT received. So that's basically how much XT you actually receive. Because this is a KPI that I really think we lacked a few years back when we didn't have expected threat. And I think you have invented this KPI, Jesper. So I think you're the inventor of it. I think it's really powerful. I haven't seen anyone else doing this, but it's basically accumulating how much threat you receive from passes. And we've seen some players that maybe not have been that we know are really good, but we haven't really found the metric that catches that. And I think a good example of that is like Marcus Berg in IFK Göteborg, who played in the national team as well. I mean, he always played for the national team and didn't score goals, maybe didn't make that many passes per game if you just count the amount of passes and so on. But when we added expected threat, we saw that he has really high expected threat per game, which basically means that he's an important target, an important piece of or I'm not sure how to say it in English, but it's really important in the build-up play for creating chances.
Yeah, and you could achieve a high expected threat through different things, but if you take Haaland, for example, that has a very high expected threat, he's very good in like generating space in the box and like finding himself being a target for other players. But if you compare it to maybe Sadiq in Häcken, that also has a high expected threat received, it's more from like running deep and receiving through balls. So like receiving ball behind the line or close to goal is typical actions that increases your value.
Yeah,
that's a lot of data sets. Mine looks similar.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that in a few years, or when we started using this for like a year, I'll probably have several hundreds of data sets here. Maybe we should add some script that deletes all data sets or something, because I think that a lot of our users will create data sets and they will use it one time, never again.
I've analyzed my own behavior, and I think that's what I do. I've actually deleted like I think 30-40 data sets myself, because I realized I have so many and now I'm creating new ones. It could also cause problems if you make a data set again and label it like the name of the league, and then you already have a data set and then you're trying to find. So
but now it's ready, so it takes some time to process, but it's often like a few minutes, or not even that. That depends on what you try to do. Of course, if you select all the KPIs for an entire season, then you probably will have to wait a few minutes for it to be ready. But one way to get around that is, of course, if you can select this auto update button, and that basically means that whenever a new game is played, the data set will be updated in the background overnight. So then we'll have updated data sets all the time. So like this, I have for the P19 Swedish Allsvenska, I have an automatic update on that. So that's probably been updated yesterday because some game was played, and then I'll have it updated in the background. And I have more data sets that are updated automatically whenever a game is played. And if you don't have that, you can also press the refresh button, and then you will have the dataset refreshed in the background. If you know that you have there are games played and you haven't got it like auto update. Oh, whatever. Never mind. Let's move forward to the dashboard, which is basically then, as I said, if the datasets was about what and when, this is about how we want to visualize our data. So let's create a new dashboard. And here we have all the widgets that can tell different stories and be used in different ways to visualize the data. But of course, the classic, what should we say, holy grail of football data analytics is the spider.
Yeah.
So let's do attacking players in Elite Serie in 2023. We would get the spider here. with the KPIs that I have selected, and the season then is the entire Eliteserien season. This would be then the average attacking player in Eliteserien. You'll get that automatically here, and I think that this tells us that we have selected quite good KPIs as well, because the average is very symmetrical. So then I'd say that tells us that we've selected quite good KPIs when it comes to attacking players.
Yeah. The only one that is a bit lower than the others is the aerials one, and I think that's because like we have the wingers that don't get into the box in that way. But so that will probably help us see the difference between typical targets and not.
Exactly. So here is Danilo Al-Saed. Yeah, they are sorted in alphabetical order here, so it's quite easy to find. Danilo Al-Saed. What are his strengths? Well, we can quite easily see what his absolute strength is. It's creating threat, expect threat per 90, but it also is the carry prog dist per 90, which basically is then how much you carry the ball forward per game played.
Yeah, he's a very he maybe is in the very top, so that's one of his like big strengths, and I think that he has a lot of key passes as well. But if you would look closely into the expected threat, I think most of the threat he generates through his dribbles and carries.
Yeah.
I think this may be a good way to show a bar plot, maybe to find out like how good he is in carry prog dist.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there are two ways to visualize that. We could do the swarm, or we could do the bar plot. I'm not sure which one. I think let's start with the swarm
first. Yeah.
Yeah. I think both you and me like the swarm. We did it together in Gothenburg this summer.
Yeah, that's I really like the swarm. Since it's like one-dimensional, it's like very easy to read information, and you just get the one.
Yeah, attacking players Eliteserien, and this is the swarm plot. And here I have to choose X, which basically means which KPI I want to have on the axis, and carry prog dist. And now you get the labels of all players, which is a bit cluttered, of course. But let's look for Danilo Al-Saed, and we select him from the drop down here. We can see where he is in comparison to the rest of the players in our data set. And we have all the players here, and I think he's the second one. I don't think there's one player ahead of him.
Yeah, he's one. I don't know how much Svensson has played either. That could play a part.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, he's obviously one of the most important players when it comes to carrying the ball forward in the Eliteserien. That's for sure. Let's do the bar as well, because I like the bar plot as well. I made a video about it. We've made a big overhaul over the bar plot, so it's really powerful now if you want to show bars in some way. And it's the same here. You select one or several KPIs that you want to have bar plots on. So let's do the same one here, then the carry prog dist per 90, and then you would get a bar representation. So this is basically the same representation as this one. It's just about how you want to visualize the data. So yeah, I think this is a good example of just the question then that the dashboard is about. It's about how you want to present the data. So yeah, here it is, the bar plot. And what I like here is that you can set the limit. So I want to see the top 10 performers when it comes to carry prog distance in Eliteserien. Then I select, this would be the 10 highest performers. And we can also switch the axis. So we get it in a vertical representation instead. I think basically I really like this one better.
Right. I think I like the vertical more. I wasn't sure before, but now when I've used it a couple of times, I'm pretty sure I like the vertical, at least for players. And maybe you can we can compare. Did you have dribbles or expected threat in? So like if you would do a second, so maybe expected threat per 90 or entries into the box or something.
I think the problem is that we only have one axis, so it's probably going to be really small. But if I do expected threat instead, I mean, I think I'll have to do only expected threat since it's maybe that's something we should add in the future, which would be a second axis for another scale here.
Yeah, it's pretty funny that Simon Tibbling is number 1 in expected threat here.
Yeah, but what that says then, because he's barely top 10 when it comes to progressive carry progdist, right? But he's still there.
Yeah.
But he's number 1 when it comes to total expected threat. So that probably tells us that a lot of his threat comes from passing. I mean, that's knowing him from when he played in Sweden is probably more of a passing player, right?
Yeah, I also think these stats like could because I know that Simon Tibbling has been like not starting like all the time. He's not been like the typical like full-time player, but this still indicates like when he plays, he does it well. He had the same numbers in Denmark, so like I think that
we could check that. I'm just going to show this nice, super nice mega button. Let's do expected threat per 90, and we could do expected threat received as well, just so that we have 2 different KPIs selected. I have the expected threat received and the expected threat per 90. And what I can do when I press this button is to show the mean lines. Mean line then is just showing the mean value for all the players in the data set. So if you're above the mean line, then you're above average. I think that's really nice addition to the bar plot to see what the mean of the league is. So if I do a top 10 for expected threat, I would see how much above mean these players actually are.
Yeah, and I would say
Tells
also
us
like
quite a lot.
When you had that plot for like 25 players, you could also see that since the data set now is not that super big, since we have used one position, but you can see a correlation between like the players having lower expected threat, having higher expected threat received, and that's like a bit typical for this position, since it's like hard to both be the generator and the receiver in a team.
Definitely.
Some players has it, and it's typically the players that received through balls and run routes, like Kylian Mbappé, Sadik in Allsvenskan, some of these players. But typical targets, they do not.
So just let me show you. I thought about that. Just the table as well. Because if you look at the table, you would see how many minutes they actually played. So this is like just a raw representation of the data that we just saw. So here I can get, I can sort for expected threat received there, or sort at expected threat per 90, so we get the same players up. And here we see what Simon Tibbling has performed. He's played 972 minutes overall, while Danilo Al-Saed, then he has played 1,561.
And if you compare the participated games, like the games column, you can see that he has like the similar amount of games played that Danilo has and Zlatko Tripic, but he has like half the minutes, and that comes from a lot of substitutions.
Exactly. So this is not this number doesn't have anything to do with minutes played. These two has 97 minutes, but this is only how many games they've actually appeared in. So you could actually use these two to find out how many substitutions or how often they are used as substitutes, I guess. I haven't done it, but I think I could do that while I have the scatter plot and select this data set and do 90s on one axis and games on the other. I guess I would see which ones have many games but few 90s. So that's basically the players who often are used as substitutes. And I think I saw Simon Tibbling down here. So he's one of the players that has many games but not that many 90s. So he's used much as substitutes. But here we have maybe the ones being used most as a substitute. Super sub, probably. Nick D'Agostino.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to hand over to you because I just wanted to show, give everyone an idea of what the platform is and how you can use it in terms of visualizing any kind of data, basically. I think we could talk about this for hours, but let's not do that today. I think we should have some fun, as it is an after work, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Okay, so I remove you and I add myself. to the screen. Okay. So I actually made a dashboard called After Work here.
Nice.
And I loaded a Bundesliga to make my friend Kevin Baller happy. So there's actually a really good game, like one of the games. I think this is actually a really good weekend in general, but like because now we're a few games in and it's like start to come these games in Europe that I look forward to. And one of them is Bayern Munich against Bayer Leverkusen tonight. That's Bayer Leverkusen had a good last season with Xabi Alonso, and now they have started really well. I do the team of the week based on our rating for Bundesliga, and it's been like half Bayer Leverkusen players for every game. And the other half Bayern Munich almost, not really. So I did a comparison spider here of Harry Kane and Victor Boniface. And I think it's like if we remove Victor, because you can basically put how many players in the spider as you want. It's up to you. But it's like starting to get hard to see as soon as you add more than 2, I think. So it's better to have more spiders. But I think one thing that is interesting here is like Harry Kane spider so far in Bayern Munich. I don't have the Premier League spider from last year prepared, but I think you can see already that he's been used more as a typical poacher, classic number 9 in Bayern Munich than he did in Tottenham or in England's national team, where it's like dropping. Because if you look at the spider, it's very similar to Lewandowski's, that it was like with a high expected goals and high goals rating, and then he's high in expected threat received and aerials and touches into the box. But it's like he's not really producing any expected threat himself, which he did a lot in Tottenham.
Yeah.
And he's been doing well as well. If we compare that to Victor Boniface, we can see that he's having a very similar spider to Harry Kane. The only difference is that he doesn't have like the same high level of expected threat received. He has like he has the aerials and he has the dribbles.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think we can do a scatter again. Here, I like to have it big.
Yeah, me too.
So if we do expected threat received and we do non-penalty expected goals, you can see that Harry Kane and Victor Boniface here. So here are them. Like they are the 2 players that have produced the most chances. They've also been like very efficient. If we look up here, we see that this one is sorted on goals. We see Boniface or it's sorted on expected goals. Sorry, but we have Boniface here and Harry Kane. So they are the player number 1 and 4 in production of expected goals so far, and they've also been scoring goals. So it's going to be interesting to see the head-to-head tonight with which one of these strikers that will have the best night. So that's the Bundesliga. Typically, you can add a tab. You can also name them here. I think that's really nice, so that you know what you're doing. So I think another player that we are talking about a lot here in the start is obviously a British player. I'm very sure, I think it's going to be the absolute best in the world. Then I think that it's maybe harder for him to win a Ballon d'Or as a typical 8. But I think it's very interesting looking at his spider here, like just in the very start, where he's been playing maybe a bit more offensively than in Borussia Dortmund, but like he's so high up when it comes to generating chances and goals in Real Madrid. Also, like in the very top of the shot assists, very high in touches into the box as well, and doing very good in the creative numbers. I think we can maybe do a quick heat map. What do you say? We can look at his actions.
I'd love to do a heat map.
We haven't done that so far. So we go here. We find out La Liga here. Instead of doing aggregated, we do event data. And then I don't know, maybe I'm going to do just passes here. That's enough for offensively. We could do passes and shots, maybe.
You can just search for him. I think you can complete.
Yeah. And then generate it. These it's important to remember to choose your player, otherwise it's going to be hard. That's what I usually forget about. And then you go to the heat map here, and we mark Bellingham. So
that's so powerful, just creating a heat map with like 3 clicks.
Yeah, so quick. And like also the thing that you like, there could also be talks about semantics when we're talking to clients. Like, I like big squares. I like a density heat map. And here, like, choose yourself. We don't need to choose like when we do the platform. Like, it's up to the user. I think that's a very nice feature. What I think is interesting.
I think most of the times, especially when you have lots of data, the density heat map is the best one.
Yeah. I think another thing we can do here before talking too much about his is actually going here and doing a pass network as well, which I think is really nice. So we can choose, we can go here and choose Real Madrid's.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to go. It's 5 o'clock. I'm going to go and grab a beer. I'll be right back.
Yeah, grab a beer. You can be with me in the meantime. I think that we can choose the Real Madrid games so far. So obviously he's had a very good start of the season. If we do this, if we mark all the games, you can do create new data set from selected games. So we do it like this. And then we do team and event data. And I choose all the passes here as well. Then I press save, and it's going to load. Maybe take a little bit longer than the heat map we just did. So what we're going to do here is just like analyze not only the spider, but also Bellingham's like actions in general. I think we can do a shot map as well as we look into this. Go to Bellingham shot map. We do data per game here as well. We do shots and then we save.
Yeah. Now you didn't choose Bellingham. You chose all.
Oh, just what I said.
Yeah.
I think it's like too typical. Like I'm getting too excited, and then I'm just like choosing it automatically. So now we go back to dashboard. We go back to the after work dashboard and La Liga. So
the after work dashboard needs this.
Yeah, and it's really like needs the beer. Yeah,
my background is a bit. Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah. Then we do the network here. So the network is basically this is a team network. So I'm going to lower this a bit. I'm going to make it bigger. I think it's going to be easier for you at home to see. So now we have like this is the passing network of all games so far for Real Madrid.
Yeah. And the zoom here, I think it's actually counting the number of players. So when you zoom in or out, you actually select a number of players. I think it goes from 16 as the largest number you can play over a game is 16, right?
Yeah.
Five substitutions. So I think it's from 16 to 0.
Yeah.
Is
That's,
this 10? 1, 2, 3.
I think this is a bit more than 11. This is maybe.
It's not. That's
4.
16. That's strange. Oh, never mind. Yeah.
Now I remove the goalkeeper, but I think it's pretty interesting. You have Tchouaméni and Kroos here in the back. Also when they played Valverde, but like Bellingham is playing like a second striker in general, and like he can do a lot of things. Like in the World Cup, he played more as a box-to-box midfielder for England, and and Dortmund he also played further back. But now it's interesting how they've used him, like pretty much as a number 10. Also, if you compare like his heat map passes, you can see that he goes out to the right a lot, and that comes from like when they play the three midfielders and they have Valverde to the left and Bellingham goes out to the right. But then he has the freedom to like go up in the offense centrally and also inside the box here, where his a lot of his goals comes from. And that's what you can see in the Spider with the touches into the box, but also like I think it's quite unique actually that you have a player that has so high value of touches into the box, but also so many final third entries. He has a very interesting hybrid role, almost an avatar for himself. Actually. We can also look.
One thing I like with the network, if you scroll down, is that you can hover over both the arrows and the circles. I'm a bit interested in Toni Kroos as well, as he's often one of those players who have the most progressive passes. Maybe it's a bit hard to hover over Kroos as we are. We had a few other players over him, but I mean, when it comes to pass progress, he's often one of the most progressive ones in the world, actually.
Yeah, I think that if you look at the last 2-3 seasons, he's been like top all the years. It's like him together with Verratti and Enzo Fernandez that are like up in the very top the last.
Yeah, exactly. Seasons. So he's probably the highest in La Liga there with pass progressed.
Yeah, and I think that's like
distance.
Yeah, that's maybe, I don't know if it's like an unpopular opinion, but maybe more like a bit more uncommon. But if I would have to choose over Modric and Kroos, I would choose Kroos. Like he would be like one of the first midfielders I would choose if I would design my own team.
Yeah. I guess he's a numbers favorite, right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. If you, we haven't released the avatars on the platform yet, but I know from designing the model, like one difference between him and Modric is that he is what you call a hybrid anchor, or if you place another team, it could be a box-to-box that he can like do both. Like as a hybrid anchor, like more of a number 6, he does both progressing the ball forward, as we see here, but he's also very like good in like winning the duels and being a good offensive player. So if you look at like one ball's offensive half, for example, like he's having a very good value, tackles per 90. So he's like, that's what we call like, you could be, the other number 6 roles are like the regista that Modric are, that are more of a like pass progressor, a passer in the pocket, like a deep playmaker. And the other one is the anchor that is more of a Scott McTominay, Gustav Svensson player that is like winning the ball and handing it over to someone else. Yeah. And Toni Kroos can do both.
Exactly.
If we look at the Bellingham shot map, now I think I shows another season or something, or another action. But here you have like, I think I shows a team shot map or something, or all the players.
Probably all the players.
Probably all the players. So this is all La Liga players shot map. We don't. I'm not going to generate the Bellingham again, but this is like how the shot map can look, and it's really simple and easy to make.
I think that it would have been better to do a heat map there. If you go to the Bellingham heat map, just select the shot map instead, just to show an example of. I think that's also a powerful example of when you can use a heat map. because then you would get all the shots in the density plot here. It's quite nice, really. If you want to compare like shooting positions for different teams, you could do that, for instance, and do a KD. You'll probably see that the better teams are better at moving the ball into the golden zone to take shots and so on.
Yeah, that's really nice. You can really see like how the golden zone is the center of this shot map. And
exactly.
If you
compare
it a couple years back, it would look differently.
Definitely.
Because I mean, long shots not very common here.
No.
I think if you would look closer to the numbers of the shots being here, like out to the very right and out to the left, I think a high percentage here are free kicks. Like because you like in possession, you seldom shoot here. Like you try to find someone else. Here is another story, but okay. I think we can we move on to the next one. So both you and me are fans of
Serie B.
Of Serie B as well. I haven't prepared a Serie B set, but we can look into the Serie A. Because I was at San Siro for Milan's first home game, and I think that one thing that is very interesting when it comes to Milan scouting, I think, is that arguably, if you ask me, Milan is maybe better or at similar level as Chelsea right now. Pulisic didn't play in Chelsea when they bought so many players, but like when he coming to Milan here, they put him in a role where it's like perfect for him. Like he plays as a right winger, and like he also, since Leao plays so wide, he has like the freedom to also move in like in the center of the pitch and like be a creator, as we call that, playmaker, like a wide playmaker. And you can see that in the expected threat numbers here, but also like he's been very lucky in when it comes to goals so far. If you compare to Leao, he has a bit of a wider spider. He's maybe more of a even more complete winger, arguably one of the best wingers in the world at his position. And you can really see that in the dribbles and crosses numbers, which is quite insane.
Not surprising.
No, it was very like that was what I think that against the game against Torino that I saw, it was like I think he like passed his opponent like every time. And if I would like say something, is that like he didn't really reach a teammate all the time he did a cross, but since he did like, I don't know, 10 crosses that game, he still reached a teammate the most times, since he passed the defender all the time. So like sometimes the success rate is maybe not the most important. It's like or I would say always like the amount accumulated is what's the most important. And you can see here in the scatter for all positions, like how he's in a league of his own when it comes to dribbles. Kvaratskhelia second here. It's very nice here. You can hover over and just like, this is a good way if you're using a scouting tool that you like. Yeah, you can find players by doing this. Maybe it's even more easy to do it in a bar plot, since you get the actual values themselves. But Milan is meeting Inter this tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
You're working on that game
tomorrow.
or?
Yes.
So I hope I'm not doing Fantomen's work tomorrow.
No, not really.
But we could maybe look at some Inter players. Who should we look at?
I like Di Marco.
Yeah, that's a good. What's his first name now again?
Federico,
yeah.
There is. I think he's highest expected red passes of all players so far in Serie A. Of course.
That's probably true. I know it.
Very low defensive numbers, but very high offensive numbers.
How high of a value do Kandreva have this year in that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's look
All right.
into that.
I wouldn't do a table. I'm going to do a. I'm also going to do a bar plot. I think it's maybe my favorite visualization now. Or I like this. I like the. I really like the swarm as we talked about. But
what do we have? Top 5. You have to scroll down. No, there he is.
So yeah, DiMarco is number 1.
Yeah.
Maybe not that surprisingly.
No.
We'll see if Kandreva goes higher eventually.
Yeah, probably. Maybe he has played. I'm not sure what minutes filter you.
I think I did like 1 game now only, since it's only 4.
Then he should be in it.
Yeah. Okay. We can look him up here. Yeah, it's a bit less this season. I don't know, but it's still like a similar profile.
Yeah.
So is there any? We can maybe. I think I did a data set of that as well, of the Allsvenskan teams. I think that's maybe funny. We'll see. Did I do that? Did I not do that? No, that's players. Maybe I didn't do that, but I did.
No.
I did Premier League teams, so we can do Premier League teams.
Nice.
I think one thing that I think is pretty funny is, I don't know if it's time to say goodbye already, but I think that one thing is interesting is like that one of the most a very hyped team before the season, and I saw them very high up on a lot of bets for people when they were betting how Premier League was going to end, like not maybe top half, but like close to 10, and that was Burnley. And I'm actually very disappointed of companies Burnley so far, because to me, they've, instead of being, I don't know, Leeds with Bielsa the first year, or Brentford or something else, they're more like Norwich under Franke when they got up. Like they had this possession play, and they also like, but they don't generate any chances at all.
No, that's really that's not good, to say the least.
And I think that if you look at the bottom 4 here, maybe that's going to be the teams that are going to fight for a new contract. At least it looks so now. Yeah. Like it's 4 definitely. Teams that are really in their own area, and it's like all the newcomers and Bournemouth. Everton, that only has 1 point so far, they actually have like their numbers are better so far. So I think that maybe like in the end, they will start to rise. But it's also Everton. We know how their seasons has been lately. I also think like another metric here for teams that I like is possession compared to percentage of passes in the final third. So we know that like possession is a metric a lot of teams strive to have a high value in. But sometimes teams have a very high possession, but they are mostly passing on their own half. So this, like the number on the x-axis here is like showing how many percentage of all the passes are in the final third, and percentage in the final third usually correlates higher than possession to generating chances. One team that is a good example here is Djurgården, that might be in Allsvenskan maybe in team number 4 to 8 in possession, but they are like usually number 1 when it comes to having a lot of passes in the final third. And you can see here with like Arsenal, Brighton, and Tottenham this year that all have like managed to have a lot of possession high up. City, that is doing great. There's no need to like say something else about City, but they are still like doing a lot more possession from the back. And then you have like maybe the direct teams here in the bottom, like West Ham and Luton, that don't pass anything at all, or they do, but they don't have in their plan to do like build up possession. They just want to attack immediately.
Yeah, I think talking about that, I did Allsvenskan. I have prepared Allsvenskan. Maybe I could show that.
Yeah, you can show that. So remove me, or I remove myself from.
I removed you and added myself.
Great.
So yeah, I did Allsvenskan this week. So it's eight rounds to play. I think one of the things that is really interesting in Allsvenskan, I have a quite massive Allsvenskan dashboard here where I have the plots tab, and here I actually did expected goals per 90 on possession. It's a bit about what you talked about when it comes to. We have some dominant teams that obviously want to have a lot of possession, and the two best teams in the league right now, Häcken and Malmö, are among the ones that are very successful in doing it. Both high in possession and high in expected goals per 90. I think we could do expected points as well. Maybe that's a better metric when it comes to what you actually get in performance. It's still the same teams. But I think that's still one of the things that's really interesting with Allsvenskan is Elfsborg. Actually, the team is leading, and well, right now I guess I at least project them to actually win. And when we look at possession, or we could look at passes per 90 instead, they are like bottom half, more or less.
Yeah.
So I think that's very interesting in terms of style of play and what you can and how you can use our platform to visualize different styles of plays and how that relates to performance and so on. Another metric that I think you have made here is the pace of attack that I really like.
Yeah.
So maybe you can extend on what the pace of attack actually is. I think you're better on that than what I am.
Yeah, the pace of attack is actually like the time per progressed meter. So it's really focusing on like how high of a pace you have progressing the ball forward. So like teams with lower values here are not really focusing on in general attacking fast. They're more maybe focused on passing the ball around, and like they're not progressing the ball in that high of a time. So it's progress meters per second. And I think this is one thing that you can see differences when you compare to other leagues, that a lot of top teams in Sweden, they focus a lot on possession, and then when they do an attack, they increase the pace, but they're not like attacking as often with a very high tempo.
No.
If you look at the teams in the bottom, Degerfors and Varberg, they get a very high number because they pass long and without destination. Sometimes that disturbs the value a bit.
Exactly. So yeah, but if we only were to do like points on the x-axis and the expected points, you would still see that we have a top trio and Djurgården, who are more on like in no man's land between the top teams and the rest, so to speak. Yeah. Another, of course, interesting observation is that we have two crisis teams. It's AIK and IFK Göteborg, and both of them are a bit up when it comes to expected points if we compare with the actual points that they've taken. So both AIK and IFK Göteborg, if you would do some kind of projection in where we could see them when the season finishes, if we were to look at the table and sort it for expected points, I would say that they probably will make the contract, both of them.
Yeah, I think so as well. But it's still, I think one thing that is still interesting in the bottom is that if you look at form and underlying numbers, AIK, Sirius, and IFK Göteborg, they're all doing like they should do better. But if they all do good in the end here, is it still going to be enough for all of them not finishing in the bottom three? Because they are so far behind. So probably like one team could finish pretty well and still end up there. It's all about really if Brommapojkarna falls, but they've also been in some sense unlucky, but they have a tough schedule. I think that, for example, Halmstad and Kalmar, that I think has performed better than their general performance, they have taken like as many points as they need almost. I know that the last from when I did the key factors project with
Federation.
the Swedish Football Federation, that the average point for saving a new contract without having to do the qualification round is 32 points, and Kalmar and Halmstad are almost there. One thing to say with this season is that the teams there in the bottom have more points than at least for reaching the qualification spot than previous years, where there's been more than one teams that have been trailing. So it could maybe be more points this year. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 hour.
1 hour of after work.
Maybe we should call it a weekend then for this time.
I think so.
I think that we have so much more that we could talk about. I would really like to dig into pressures, for instance.
Yeah.
And looking into pressure data, but we could do that some other time. I mean, we have more Fridays coming up, so.
Yeah, we have more Fridays coming up, so and we will have more released features coming soon. So
yeah. But I mean, we don't even need to release more features right now. I think we could make content in 4 days with what we have.
That's true. And I think that maybe when it comes to way of visualizing the data, we have more of them we need, but it could be some KPIs or the avatar model and so on.
We did get a question though. 4 minutes ago. Can you see how the progress of attack for Häcken has fallen after Benny Traoré left? Yes, definitely.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah. Let me do that. I love getting these kinds of questions because I think our platform is the only one in the world where you actually can answer that question without having to code one single line of code. So you who have been working with Häcken, I think you could help me with telling me what date that was. But let's look at Häcken progress of attack with Traoré. Let's say that. So, and that would be Allsvenskan, right?
Yeah.
And then we need to do the teams and we need to do a date filter. And you have to help me here. When did he leave?
Yeah, middle of July somewhere. Can
you look it up on Wikipedia or on Transfer?
Yeah, I can just look at when Häcken met Klaxvik, and we don't need to talk more about that. But
I think he meant pace of attack, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure. I talked about pace of attack being progress meters per second, so I think that's why.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to do pace of attack only for that.
It's better just to Google, so because then you can see so he was presented by Sheffield United 18th of July.
All right. So then I'm going to do 17th of July, right?
Yeah.
Pace of attack Häcken, and we would get every team pace of attack, but that doesn't matter. So
yeah, you could do we have maybe do expected goal difference as well, just out of interest.
Okay. That one.
And then save.
Yeah.
And then we do the other one then.
Yeah.
So it's maybe
the same Allsvenskan, and then I'm gonna go with from date instead.
Yeah. So from 17th and forward, yeah.
Teams. Pace of attack, and you wanted expected goals difference. So let's go with these two then. Save. And when these are done, then we'll probably see that.
Maybe we can say that if you look at this now or after Friday, 5:30 p.m. and you're interested in trying out the platform, reach out to me or Fantomen, or you could email. I'm going to do a banner here, a new banner.
Do it.
Or you can email info@Playmaker and ask about it, and we'll sort it out.
I like that. I think this is a bit slow when you do the updates with dates right now. I think we know what we need to fix in order. I mean, we're still working on the platform, so I think you'll actually have to wait a few minutes for it to complete because of some technical mumbo jumbo when it comes to dates filter. But I know what the problem is, and we'll have that sorted out quite soon.
I'm gonna look at, like, tonight is actually a very good night to have your girlfriend away from home, because then you can watch Bayern Munich Leverkusen.
Right.
Yeah.
When does it start? At 9 or
8:30.
Yeah.
It's also PSG against Nice. Not as interesting, but right now it's actually Lahti versus KTP in the Veikkausliiga. So that's
nice.
That's not too bad.
We did get a question also about Veikkausliiga. Maybe you could just take over the screen and do that while we wait. Just as
did
a
we
bonus.
Did we get a question about Veikkausliiga? I'm happy.
Yeah, I think so. Mr. Ashley Coffey, how is he performing?
Oh, I think he's doing very well. So
do it while we wait on this.
What should we? What should we do then? Should we do?
Just a spider.
Yeah, just a spider.
I just want his spider.
I was curious if I already had a Veikkausliiga. I should have it, but I think maybe I have it in development mode. So we'll do a new one. Veikkausliiga, and then we go to Veikkausliiga. It's one of my favorite leagues, actually, I would say.
Mine too. Mine as well. Definitely.
And we can do some a few stats. We could do. What should we do? We should do non-penalty expected goals, I think. We do shot assists per 90, expected threat, expected threat received, 1 balls offensive, half, dribbles 90. And then I do, instead of carry prog distance, I do average prog per carry distance. So it's actually average instead of the total.
Right. That's nice.
Yeah, that one was nice too. I think that they often show quite the same thing, but sometimes you have players that doesn't run as often, and you have. It depends on if you care if this carry prog distance I've calculated like all over the pitch, but you could do only like offensive half, and then sometimes you have like some center backs and others that are really good in progressing the ball, but they do it far away from the pitch. I know that Evan Hovland in Häcken, for example, is one of the players that has progressed the ball most with carrying, and he does that from like when he gets the ball, he doesn't just stop with it. He's progressing the ball forward, and then he passes the fullback to kind of like increase the pace of the attack.
Yeah. Nice. Should we have some technical questions and answers as well? I'm just looking at our server logs. Just a quick explanation of why things are taking a bit time right now. It's just because of the events aren't indexed, or the dates of the events aren't indexed. So that's why it's so slow. It's just a matter of me fixing that in the back end.
Okay.
Yeah. I will fix that.
Okay, now we can do a spider on Lakers Liga. So that's what.
This is very exciting. This is really peak after work so far.
Was it Hopcut or Ashley Coffee? Who was we? Who was the
Ashley
best
Coffee,
one?
but I think we could do Hopcut as well, because I know Hopcut has had a really.
Ashley Coffee, I really like him.
We have a guy here. We have a guy here with an incredible name. Did you see him? Daniel Rökman. So in Swedish, that would be just Daniel Smoking Man.
Yeah, we can compare him. No, but I know that Ashley Coffee is doing well. I've like always liked Ashley Coffee, and it's actually about a story. It was about Fotbollskanalen, like when they talked to him, because when he was playing in Ettan, like I might not be citing everything correctly, but then he came from England. He had been playing in like the 7th tier in England, and he moved to Sweden out of love, and he didn't know like which level he could play at. So he contacted like Division 1 teams. They didn't really want him to come practice. And then he contacted Division 2 teams, and he played with Huddinge, I think, or Haninge. And they went up. And then he scored like immense amount of goals. And then other clubs wanted him. I think he scored like 29 or 27 goals in that time. And then other teams wanted him. So they had an interview in Fotbollskanalen before he signed with AFC Eskilstuna. And then he said like one thing that was very important for him was that he could continue to work as a teacher when he joined his next club. And I think that's really nice. And now the question is, Ashley, do you work as a teacher in Finland, or have you let the teacher job go? That's what I want to know. If you know, let me know. And yeah, you can see non-penalty goals per 90 is number 5 here. And I think I should have done it. I didn't do like any limit on the played games.
But
so probably
that's good. If someone still has been watching this entire, joining us this entire after work, you'll probably have finished like 3 or 4 beers then by now. But I think we said that early, that this is still a good example of why you want to filter on minutes played.
Yeah, exactly. But we would look at Hopcat as well. Jamie Hopcat, right?
Yeah.
Or is it Hopcat?
Yeah, I think so. GJ. Is he maybe is classed as some other kind of?
Yeah, maybe I missed him in the position.
No, but he might also have 2 names or something. Like, James something more Hopcat. Jamie Ryan Hopcat. Maybe he's.
But he should still be. He should still be here. So I think that's something with the positions. When I took out him, that he maybe slipped out here.
I think. I think he was a very important player when Östersund played in the Superettan, I'd say. I lived in Östersund, and I watched him a lot then. He was really important in Superettan. But then he got injured in the premiere against Hammarby, I think. He injured his knee. And after that, he never really came back to the same level. At least not in at least not in Sweden. But he's obviously been good now in Veikkausliiga, and also in the team that's actually in the bottom, I think.
Yeah, they're in the very bottom. I really like this guy, Peter Gudley Michael.
Yeah, I know, he's really good.
Yeah.
Another one that I like, of course, that you can do if you want to do a scatter plot is the non-penalty goals and the expected goals. It's like one of those classic charts that you often do in analytics, right?
Yeah.
You should.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
Liam Möller, what a star. This is like when you look at most points in NHL over time, you have like Wayne Gretzky here, and then the rest of the players. Are you finished with can we look at the other set, or is it still?
It's still working. I have the without him is ready, but not the one with him. So this is.
Then I can add.
We did get another question from the same user is watching with us, Moldy 7890, probably a name that's been defaulted in some way. But he's going to Leverkusen on Wednesday to see Häcken play. I am interested to see how Amanda Romeo plays against even better opposition. I'm not sure if that was a question.
It could be a question, and that's also like that you could select the single games from the game view and like decide yourself what's a better opposition. But it could actually be a nice filter to do maybe in the advanced option or some way that you could like sort out on teams that has like a higher expected points than yourself, or in the top half of the expected points table.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Maybe you could just
show. Yeah, maybe you could just show how, like, the idea. If you would go to games.
Yeah, exactly. I can do that. So you can do
because this is another way of. Yeah, exactly. And you can search for Häcken here as well. If you press on the teams in the can filter here. Yeah, with the 3 dots to the right.
Oh, okay.
Could go Häcken here. Just Häcken.
Oh yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah, because then you could. Then you would choose the games that you exactly think are like against better opposition, so it would be the top teams. Yeah, exactly. Maybe top 4 then, right?
Yeah, maybe top 4. So we're looking for Malmö as well.
Yeah. I mean, this is really powerful because then you could do this data set like a spider with these games, and then you could do a spider for the other games or for all games and compare them if you want to see how he performs against better opposition.
Yeah, this is I would say this is super powerful.
Yeah, so if you click, because now you could then just create a data set, and then you would have these 5 games. I really like that.
Yeah, I like it as well, very much. And I don't know, we would have to compare to like his basic set. We have that, so we could do it. But I know that Amanda Romeo, for example, is very strong in his challenges. For example, he's he's a very like good also in progressing the ball.
Yeah.
Maybe look at interceptions. I don't know. We can just do something like this, and then now I took all players, but I want to like be able to do spiders from this.
That should be possible, I guess.
Yeah, it should
be.
No,
it failed. Oh, we'll have to look into that.
Maybe we detected a new bug. I'm not actually sure.
Could be. I haven't seen that before.
Me neither. I don't think I've actually. No, not this one. Yeah, it should be able to do that, but
yeah,
it's not from the KPIs. It's something from.
Yeah, I think so. I'm looking into the logs. Type error. Oh, yeah, this is a bit got multiple values for keyword argument game in. So
it's from the selections of games. I think I chose.
No, we'll have to look into that. Got game in is got. I think it's some kind of bug.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We'll solve that.
Yeah. It's a very powerful tool, not the least.
Yeah.
Veikkaus Liga, the expanded one is still.
Oh, you can show the questions. This is really nice. I haven't seen this before. Look. So here I can actually. But yeah, right now.
Oh, that's really nice.
He gets the
they did
idea
that.
then. No, that's cool. So you get the idea. We'll fix that to the next after work, and we can show it then.
Yeah. Here you have him, Jamie Hopcutt.
Yeah.
For these metrics, he's like, when it comes to shot assists and expected threats, he's like way up there.
Yeah. It's very impressive. I mean, he plays in like the worst team of the league.
Yeah.
I think they're...
If you're not following the Finnish league, you should also have remember this name.
Yes.
Topi Keskinen. So he's like a classic winger that is very strong in both his duels and generating chances, crosses. He's maybe like not the biggest goal scorer. That's maybe a flaw that he will like. He produces chances, but he could be a better finisher. But he's only 20 years old, so I'm pretty sure that this is a player that will play for the Finnish national team if he already hasn't. But also like play in Europe somewhere. I don't know. Maybe go to a bigger league soon. But since HJK are playing in the Conference League again, he will play in Europe at least.
Yeah.
Another funny thing is that I think that this is like a player that you could have detected with data early. I don't know how HJK works, but he had the same values in the Finnish second league last year, and HJK bought him from Gnistan. And now he's like producing the same level immediately in a higher tier.
Yeah.
I didn't think before this that we were gonna put like 15% of our time on the Veikkaus Liga. I should have I should have known that, since it's like a very interesting league. But
yeah. Did you, when you selected game? No, I'm not sure. I'm just looking into the bug, but we'll fix that.
Yeah.
Probably something small. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that. Yeah, we can, for all the AIK viewers, we can look at Bojan Radulovic. That has had good time. What do you think of this fighter, Fantomen?
Oh yes.
And we can also do the scatter that I did before, but was kind of useless since I didn't do the filtration on games. So Liam Möller is gone now. And then we can mark out Bojan Radulovic, Ashley Coffey, Topi Keskinen, Jamie Hopcutt, Peter, Michael. So here we have it.
Nice.
But you can obviously see here, now we don't have a line that is like the same amount of goals scored as expected goals. But you can, like, if you're up more towards the left corner, you're scoring more goals than expected. And you can see that Ashley Coffey is up there. And I think that if you would look at his numbers since he played in Haninge, like, he's always up here in the upper left corner. So at the level he's playing, he's a known good finisher.
Right.
Three comments. Have I missed all of them? And make it's Moldy, our favorite viewer here. Yeah, I agree. And the freedom
I can,
of
yeah. Let me show you this now. Then I think I have created with and without him right now. So I think just it's not the best TV cooking ever made, but I think you could use the KPI widget for this. So I could do Häcken pace of attack without him, and then we would do pace of attack Häcken 564, and then we could do a KPI which would be Häcken pace of attack.
Have you moved away from the
With
dataset page, or?
Yeah.
I don't see that. I see the dataset page still.
Why?
Is it my internet
Oh,
or?
sure. No, I don't. I think it's my internet. Not sure why. No.
Now.
And then I would do.
Oh, nice. This
like
we didn't show this feature before, so this is nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think this can be enough for the first, right?
Yeah, it could be enough for the first, for sure. I think that maybe you could show the theme feature just before we quit.
Sure.
That you can change the theme.
Yeah.
So we have the default theme now, and
I think you used the Sampdoria theme, right?
yeah, I did. Yeah, so they already seen different themes. That's true.
But it's a really cool feature.
Yeah.
Let's go with the Glasgow Rangers theme.
Yeah, I really like the Glasgow Rangers theme.
Yeah.
And for any customer, really, you get your own theme. So that's one of the pros. So when you're using the platform, like, it doesn't look like you're using a Playmaker platform. It looks like you get it in the right colors, and it looks like you're using your own kind of product. So I think that's very nice and also unique.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, but let's say goodbye from us. Thank you for watching, and
have a nice weekend.
And if you want to try the platform, email info@playmaker.ai, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter. Okay, have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend.